Hi, I'm Tim Tedder. I'm glad you're joining me for another Recovery Room podcast. I want to invite you into a conversation that I believe you'll find both sobering and encouraging. It's the story of a couple who managed to rebuild their marriage after the husband's multiple affairs. More than a few, actually. But before we dive in, let me speak directly, just for a moment, to those of you who've been on the receiving end of betrayal. If that's you, I want you to hear this clearly. Returning to trust after infidelity, especially after repeated affairs, is a very big ask. I know that. You are under no obligation to forgive, no obligation to stay, no obligation to carry the burden of another person's choices. You have every freedom to walk away. But if you do consider staying after your partner's repeated infidelity, please make sure you're seeing the right indicators. Look for a change in attitude, a different perspective than before. Look for genuine remorse, not the "I'm sorry I got caught" kind, but a deep awareness of the damage done. Look for a willingness to dig in and do the hard work, not just for the marriage, but for themselves, because they want to change. And look for honesty, not half-truths, not trickle truth, but complete openness about what happened. I know that getting to the truth is one of the hardest parts of recovery. So many couples find themselves stuck in the same cycle, either fighting about it or avoiding it altogether, without ever reaching the kind of clarity that allows them to move forward. That's why I created the Truth Talk courses. There are 2 courses, one designed for injured partners and one for involved partners. And both are built to help you have honest, productive conversations about what really happened. You can take either course individually or work through them together as a couple. Each course costs about half the price of a single counseling session and includes the same resources I use with my own clients. Just look under the courses menu at affairhealing.com and you'll see them listed. Truth Talk Asking Questions and Truth Talk Giving Answers. I'll also put direct links in the episode notes for you. Now, let me tell you about the phone call you're about to hear. It's my conversation with Ryan and Jen, a couple who came to me years ago in the aftermath of his affairs. And not just 1 or 2. Over a 7 or 8 year stretch, Ryan had somewhere between 20 and 30 affairs. Yeah, probably like you, when I first heard that, I'll be honest with you, I didn't have much hope for their marriage. That's usually more wreckage than a relationship can hold. But here's the twist. Ryan showed every single one of the indicators that I talked about previously. He didn't just say he wanted to change, he demonstrated it. He was committed to doing the work, whether or not Jennifer chose to stay with him. Now, Jen was very clear in the beginning. She told me she would definitely not stay. She said she would never forgive him, never trust him again. And who could blame her? There was no pressure, no pushing her to change her mind. But over time, as she watched him doing the hard, consistent work of change, she began slowly, cautiously, to open her heart again. And so, 7 years later, I recorded the conversation you're about to hear. As you listen, see if you can pick out the qualities that made their recovery possible. Because while their story is unique, the principles underneath it are the same ones that can guide anyone who's trying to decide whether to stay or leave, whether to rebuild or let go. Let's listen to that conversation now.
Welcome to The Recovery Room, a podcast presented by affairhealing.com.
In this healing place, in this healing place.
People think that you're a weakling if you decide to stay and try to make it work. When my wife first heard about this, there was no pushover. I mean, she was very upset. I remember her pulling open silverware drawers and throwing stuff across the room at me. I remember her saying, "This is not going to work. I don't even want to be with you." And it took a couple of days, I mean, where she was like in the room in the back and I was sleeping on the couch in the living room, and she'd come out and just at random times and scream stuff and did not want to be near me. It was several days later when she came out and was like, "This is probably not going to work, but if there's any chance at all, I'm going to find a counselor. I'm going to tell you who it's going to be, and you will call and make all the appointments and then attend all the appointments. And if you miss one, it is definitely over. But this is still probably not going to work."
And I said, "You're just going to tell me when to show up." Yeah. I said, "I'm not going to wait on you. I'm not going to ask you about it. You're going to continue to tell me what time the appointment is and when."
And even after the first several meetings, I remember, and I know obviously you remember, Tim, I mean, our situation's deep. I mean, you're talking about dozens and dozens of people. You're talking years. I don't even know what it was, 6 or 7 years of infidelity. This was really bad, right? So,
but I think the only reason why I gave it a chance was because I saw when he told me how broken he was. Mm-hmm. I could see it on him. He was a totally different person than what I had experienced in the years prior. I mean, there was definitely an arrogance there before, and all I saw was like broken humility. He said, "I know you're going to want to leave, but I'm asking you to stay with me. I want to make this right." And so that's why I said, "Well, I don't want to, but if you're really serious about feeling that way, then you will do all of this and prove to me that that's exactly how you feel." And he did all of that and more.
Yeah, you guys certainly have a story that I remember as this unfolded and I'm finding out about it. You're one of those couples where you just kind of look at it and go, "Oh my goodness, can they really survive this?" There's a lot of hurt and a lot of damage. But I will tell you, and I just said this recently to another client, I mean, there are a lot of things that predict whether a couple is going to be able to move forward towards a marriage that not only experiences recovery, but renewal and a new expression or experience of connection and trust again. But perhaps the biggest predictor of a positive outcome is that the one who was unfaithful moves quickly to embrace honesty, openness, and truthfulness, and that's especially true if they're the ones that confessed it rather than being caught or found out. But even if someone's found out, if they come quickly to honesty, transparency, but then secondly, that they take on just what you insisted on, Jen, that they take the responsibility for, okay, I want to fix this. I broke it. I'm going to take responsibility for helping us get on the right track and assuring you that you can trust me. That's something you definitely did, but it still took time. It was not a quick fix.
No, it certainly wasn't. And I think I think you hit the nail on the head. Every situation's a little bit different, right? There are those who are actually caught in the middle of something. There's a major difference between those who are caught and those who are confessors, right? I think that's a key contributor.
Yeah. The ones that are the confessors are already demonstrating most likely that they've come to the place of recognizing I've done something wrong and I'm going to embrace honesty. And the first expression of my willingness to be honest with you is I'm going to tell you something you might not have known about, without me confessing this. So that's a pretty vulnerable statement. I will say that there are those who do get caught and have to struggle with the initial, being defensive, and most people will kind of fudge the truth, but come fairly quickly to embrace honesty. It's just a little bit harder for them to get there. And
as I mentioned earlier, I don't think Jen really felt initially like she wanted to make this work, but also it's like, well, you do have 7 or 8 years of marriage under your belt with this person, right? Even though it was a dysfunctional marriage, you do have a relationship, et cetera. But, Jen would tell you, I think one of the things that really helped us was the fact that I was very open about ways that I cheated. I gave her passwords to every email account I had. I welcomed her to check anything on the internet, any social media stuff that I was on, that she had complete access to that. I gave her actual names of the people that I had been unfaithful with, and she went through and blocked some of those. And to this day, years later, those blocks are still there. I think that honesty also helps show the partner that you're trying to mend and trying to build a relationship. You're not hiding things anymore. You're confessing them. And I think that helps give the spouse confidence that this person actually is, yeah, I hate what they did, but they're serious about trying to move forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Jen, how would you describe the changes in you since that beginning time? I mean, I know in your circumstances, you've got a couple kids now, you're living in a new place, but in regards to your relationship and how you feel about your marriage, what's different and how do you remember and explain the change from then to now?
It's funny because I remember sitting on the couch in your office being like, I just don't think I will ever be able to get over this. Like, I am upset with it and I'm obsessed with it. Like, I cannot stop thinking about the betrayal. I can't stop thinking about the pain of this. It's like my soul was cut deep, and it was. And, and I kept thinking, I will never, ever be able to forgive him for this. I don't even understand, like, the depths of what real forgiveness feels like, because I can't imagine feeling any type of forgiveness to him. And one thing is that he just went above and beyond to prove his love for me and prove just how much I meant to him. And he really did win me back. And even though he had gone through all those steps and some time had passed, I didn't ever feel forgiveness at first, but I chose forgiveness. So it was a choice for me. It was a choice for me to do it. And I decided that I was just going to start acting like I was forgiving him, even though I didn't have the feelings of it. And the amazing thing that happened was when I chose action first over the feelings did come eventually. The feelings of forgiveness and the feelings of love came back. But it was different in a way that I loved him in a new way that I had never loved him before. The funny thing is that, like, here we are 7 years later from when all of it happened. And, like, I legitimately can say I feel like zero sting about it now. I mean, it happened and I was hurt and everything. It's not that I don't acknowledge it, that it's there, or I deny that it's there in my heart or anything. It's almost like when you get a deep wound, like I have a deep wound on my arm from when I was a kid where I fell down a slide, and I got a really deep gash on my arm from cutting my arm on a screw on the slide as I was sliding down. I remember that happening. I remember how bad it hurt. But here I am, and I have this scar on my arm, but I don't feel the sting of it anymore. Like it's I can see the scar, and I can feel the scar on my arm, but I don't feel any pain in it anymore. And that's how I feel about our situation as well. It's part of our story. It's a scar on our marriage, but I feel no sting anymore. I don't sit there and dwell on it. I used to think about it literally all day long back around the time, even 8 months to a year after it just happened. And now I can honestly say, I don't even know how long without even thinking about it.
Until your old counselor calls you up and asks you to talk about it again.
We were just counseling with another couple in our church that actually is going through it right now. And so I pulled out my old journal and read some of the stuff, and I was actually reading it yesterday after talking to her, and I just was like, wow, it was just bringing me back to that dark, dark place of emotions. And there was so much of it that I had forgotten, just of how deeply hurt I was. And that's just those feelings I had forgotten. So it was just amazing to even go back and read that and see where I'm at today. I mean, we really worked on repairing our marriage and creating a new marriage, and 3 years went by, and then we decided to have a kid, and then another 3 years went by and we decided to have another kid. So here we are 7 years and 2 kids later.
Well, I love your story. I love you guys. I mean, I love the fact that even though you'd have every right to say, listen, this is our healing and we're going to take it with us, keep it to ourselves. And I some couples make that choice, and it's a right choice for them. You have decided to take your story of healing and grace and you share it with other people. I mean, you have a heart to come alongside other couples that may be struggling in similar ways and to help them see what healing can look like in their lives and their marriages too. And I think that that's great. I love that about you guys, and I'm thankful for the work you're letting God do through you. And just the efforts you're making to tell a good story with your lives.
It certainly took God in the middle of our marriage. I mean, we had to pray and allow God to extend grace to me, and forgiveness, because I, even to this day, can still struggle at times with guilt and forgiveness. I have a real life picture of what actual forgiveness looks like through my wife as well. I mean, she certainly didn't want to go that route. As she mentioned earlier, she chose forgiveness, and then really it was several months later till I think she really, really felt like, I actually do forgive you.
Yeah, I mean, I had vindictive moments too, if you remember, Tim, where
I remember, yes.
it was not this like, I'm just going to forgive him and it's going to be roses and it's going to be wonderful. I mean,
yeah, when I hear that, I don't trust it anyway, so.
You wanted to help heal us, whether that was us staying together or apart.
Yeah.
I never felt pressure from you to stay married. I never felt pressure from you to walk away. I think your big thing was you just wanted to see us healed, whatever that may be. And Ryan and I are firm believers that if our situation can be healed, then pretty much anybody's can. I mean, we've seen a few couples, probably, I don't know, maybe like 10 couples since we went through everything that we've either referred to you or people we've worked with here. And like, I think there was one couple where we were just like, no, that one's not going to happen. You taught us to believe in getting healed and whole, no matter what that looks like, with still being a champion for marriage and staying together.
Jen and I would both say that we are both better people. We are stronger, and our relationship is way stronger than what it was in what we call our first marriage, before we actually processed all this stuff. We absolutely enjoy life together. I know we're not perfect. We deal with a lot of things just like other couples do, but we both, I feel like, have another level of commitment, maybe greater than some couples, because of what we've overcome together.
I will say this. No, we don't have a perfect marriage, but this is kind of funny. I feel like we don't fight really over petty stuff. I don't know. There's some sort of just deeper communication or like commitment to each other or to working things out that comes from something like this, to where I do feel like we do have a very strong marriage. We really don't fight that often anymore. And it's not because we're sitting here like, oh, we don't fight, everything's great. Like, we communicate so well now that it just, I don't know, I feel like
there's nothing hidden.
Yeah, it's a lot easier now to just coexist together, I guess.
Well, it's funny too, our friends are often, Jen, just last night, we're out to dinner with 3 other couples and cracks a joke, which, again, we're not minimizing what an affair is, et cetera, but she even cracked a joke about my lifestyle in the first 6 to 7 years of our marriage, and everybody at the table laughed at everything, but it was almost like they were more uncomfortable over it.
We were.
And
because we're at that point where we're just like, I mean, we will talk about it so freely.
Yeah. People like kind of dance around it with us. We're like, no, you can ask us direct questions. What do you want to know? There's nothing we're hiding here. We'd be happy to tell you the truth about how we've processed it, whatever. But again, I want to make sure I'm clear. We're not minimizing, affairs, et cetera. But the fact that where we were to start and what a disaster that was, to the point now where a joke can be cracked, in front of our friend, that's a long ways. A long ways.
Well, that's the thing. When a couple's willing to step into that pain together and move towards the kind of vulnerability that helps establish trust again, you don't go through an experience like that and come out the other side of it and the normal things affect you the same way as they did. I think you come out with a greater capacity to really understand what it means to communicate honestly, to be vulnerable with one another. A marriage can't be the same on the other side of this. It's going to change for better or for worse. And you're giving the example of the ways it can change for the better. I hope that conversation was informative and encouraging. It's not the only story out there, and in future episodes, we'll hear more from people whose marriages didn't survive betrayal. But it's important to know that relationship recovery and renewal is a real outcome too. I hope you'll join us again. If you think this episode or any of the past episodes of The Recovery Room would be helpful to others, please pass the links along. I appreciate that. So, until next time.
Faith over failure.